2020 presidential elections all over again. Joe Biden and Donald Trump have set up a political movie that the country has seen before. But the U.S. president and his immediate predecessor have secured their party's nominations to run for the highest office. Donald Trump clinched the Republican presidential nomination, calling it a great honor after capping off a stunning political comeback. The former president crossed the threshold of 1,215 delegates needed to become the GOP nominee, formally entering what's posed to be the longest and costliest general election in recent history.
This has been a tremendous week for our movement. We won big on Super Tuesday. They call it Super Tuesday for a reason. We won big. And now we're just days away from officially clinching the Republican nomination for President of the United States of America.
On the other hand, his Democratic rival Joe Biden also won enough delegates in the primary to become his party's presumptive nominee for president. The American president issued a statement after sealing the Democratic nomination, taking aim at Trump's campaign of, quote, resentment, revenge, and retribution that threatens the very idea of America. Despite the tough talk, the road ahead for the duo will not be easy. Trump is facing 91 felony counts and 4 criminal cases involving his handling of classified documents and his attempt to overturn the 2020 election, among other alleged crimes. While the 81-year-old incumbent faces some vulnerabilities heading into November, questions are being raised about Biden's age, his mental acuity, and there are deep reservations about his ability to assume the presidency for 4 more years. Also, the long-shot presidential candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is making a play to appear on the ballot in multiple key swing states. According to reports, there are indicators that the former Democrat turned independent could draw more votes from President Joe Biden than former President Donald Trump. In a November Siena College poll of voters in 6 battleground states, more Democrats than Republicans said they would back Kennedy Jr. However, a Wall Street Journal survey indicated in December that the opposite is true. Kennedy Jr. is a former environmental lawyer. His political ideology is, however, somewhat difficult to understand. As a descendant of the world's most famous Democratic family, he is likely to appeal to some Democrat voters. However, his views on the COVID vaccine could deter them, but that itself could attract GOP voters looking for a Trump alternative. All right, for more on this, we are being joined by Jonah Blank from Washington, D.C. Jonah is a senior journalist and a former foreign policy advisor to President Joe Biden. Jonah, good to see you, and thank you so much for joining us on WION. Talk about Robert F. Kennedy's candidacy and how it might impact the presidential race, considering that now polls are saying that he may draw more votes from President Biden than Donald Trump. And what does this mean for the general dynamic of the election?
Well, thank you for having me. There are 2 big questions about the candidacy of RFK Jr. First is where, if anywhere, he's going to get on the ballot. So far, I believe the only place is Utah, which is essentially a non-contested state. So if he does not get on the ballot in one of the swing states, then he probably will have almost no impact at all. Second question, as you've rightly noted, is who would he draw more support from? His name is one that draws a lot of Democrats, particularly very low information Democrats, people who really don't know who he is, because this is a guy whose stated positions are much more in line with aspects of the modern day Republican Party. So it's very much unclear whether his voters are people who would otherwise have voted for President Biden or for Donald Trump.
Okay, that's very interesting. I do want to talk about Ross Perot. Some of our viewers may be familiar with him. He was also termed as a wild card in the 1992 and 1996 presidential elections, and like Kennedy, a third-party candidate, both independent. In 1992, however, he garnered more than 18% of the votes in Bush Sr. versus Clinton. How do you see the similarities between the two? And it's been so long since we've seen a wild card like Perot, but we saw that he was indeed a disruptor.
Well, we don't really know who Perot took more votes from. There have been a lot of political science studies in the years since then, and that basically come out with the position that he drew roughly evenly from both candidates and probably did not affect the outcome of the election at all. Compare that, however, to what I would say is more relevant third-party candidacies that we've seen in 2000, in 2016, and in 2020. In 2000, Al Gore versus George Bush, we know for a fact that the third-party candidate, Ralph Nader, running on the Green Party ticket, effectively gave the election to President George Bush. The state of Florida was won by fewer than 600 votes, and Ralph Nader took 30,000 votes in that state. Because he was running on an explicitly left of center, rather far left of center platform, it's pretty safe to assume that virtually all of his voters would have gone to Al Gore had they been chosen between one or the other. Likewise, the margin in 2016 that gave Donald Trump his victory over Hillary Clinton was much less than the vote tally of the same Green Party, its candidate Jill Stein, in key states. So had her voters been forced to choose between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, they would have overwhelmingly picked Hillary Clinton. These I would say are the more relevant targets for the 2024 election, because it's not just RFK Jr. We've also got Jill Stein running again. We've got potentially Cornel West running as a left of center candidate, and the No Labels party, which is a big question mark because they appear to be a spoiler running for Donald Trump, but we don't even know who they're going to put up.
Yeah, no labels. We're looking to see what's going to happen with that group as well. Jonah Blank, thank you so much for joining us and for all of that analysis. And I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.